The year was 2023, and Silicon Valley Bank, one of the largest banks in the world, had just collapsed. The collapse of the bank sent shockwaves throughout the financial world, triggering what experts called the polycrisis, a series of interrelated financial crises that had the potential to bring down the global economy. ACT1. The Silicon Valley Bank collapse. The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank was caused by a combination of factors, including risky lending practices, a lack of regulatory oversight, and a general culture of greed and excess in the financial industry. As news of the bank's collapse spread, panic set in among investors, causing a massive sell-off in the stock market. ACT2. The polycrisis. The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank was just the beginning of the polycrisis. As the stock market continued to plummet, other banks and financial institutions began to fail, triggering a domino effect that threatened to bring down the entire global financial system. ACT3. The government response. As the crisis deepened, governments around the world scrambled to find solutions. Central banks injected trillions of dollars into the financial system, while governments passed massive stimulus packages to keep their economies afloat. However, these measures proved to be temporary fixes, and the crisis continued to linger. ACT4. The human cost. The polycrisis had a devastating impact on people around the world. Unemployment skyrocketed, and millions of people lost their homes, their savings, and their livelihoods. The crisis also exposed deep inequalities in society, as those at the top of the financial ladder were bailed out while ordinary people suffered the consequences. ACT5. Lessons learned. In the aftermath of the polycrisis, governments and financial institutions around the world were forced to reckon with the systemic failures that had led to the crisis. There was a renewed focus on regulation, transparency, and accountability in the financial industry, as well as a greater recognition of the importance of addressing economic inequality and promoting sustainable growth. Conclusion. The Silicon Valley Bank collapse and the polycrisis that followed was a wake-up call for the world. It exposed the fragility of the global financial system and the urgent need for meaningful reform. While the crisis was painful and costly, it also provided an opportunity to learn from our mistakes and build a stronger, more resilient economy for the future.